Today is the first budget workshop for 2026. We are gonna, just similar to last year, I'm gonna go over kind of the overall items tonight. We'll go over fund balances, where we're at, the bond project tracking sheet and where we're at with that. An updated capital expense plan for operations, draft fund budgets. These are just without any decisions put in there, so they're relatively generic numbers at this point. Generally around where they'll end up, but with changes based on decisions that you all make. I also have a new section here for macroeconomic trends to show what is happening based on income. And then a summary of what we talked about in this, and then we'll look at the budget planning document that I've updated and created. So first off, general fund balances. As you know, we have four large funds. We have the general fund, the road fund, the sewer fund, and the bond fund. We also have the liquid fuels fund, which is money that we get from the state for liquid fuels. We have to spend that for very specific things. For example, if we use that to pave a road, we have to follow PennDOT standards, which are much more robust than our standards or typical borough standards. So we don't typically use it for that. We typically use it for streetlights and then purchasing vehicles or other things that we're allowed to do with it. And then we have the SCBA Reserve Fund. That is the fund that is used for a breathing apparatus equipment for the fire department. And when I talked to them earlier this year, they are about at a point where they need to use that. And so it's good. They were happy to see that it was well funded and that they do have money in there for that. So we'll talk about that as well. And then we have the petty cash checking and flex spending accounts. It's really just three very small accounts. One for petty cash. One is a checking account that we require because of the bond fund. And then the other is a flex spending account, which we use for special projects. Generally speaking, for the three major funds, the general fund, the road fund, and the sewer fund, you want to have about a 3-month worth of expenses back, as in reserve. Currently, the only fund that we don't have that in the reserve fund is for the general fund. But between the two amounts, we have far more than that. So we're in good shape on that respect, although it would be nice to get more money put into the general fund reserve, and we can talk about that. The road fund, we don't have necessarily a reserve account for it, but we generally bring in about $600,000 when we have the road tax instituted. And so we only really need to have 160,000 in there to have the reserve covered, and you can see we're well over that. And the same thing for the sewer fund. The sewer fund reserve has more than enough to cover 3 months worth of expenses for the sewer fund. And so that's the fund balances, and these are fluctuating every month. This is something that we report in our financial statements as well. So with that, I'm going to update you on the bond tracking sheet. As many of you know, we have 4 sheets there. We have a sheet for committed projects, which are really the ongoing projects that you see now. The proposed projects, and there's only one on that sheet right now because we were careful with that because we want to make sure that we have enough money to do all the projects that we have ongoing. We have the completed project sheets, which is and that is actually now completely frozen. We got in the last 2 Alcosan grants that we were supposed to get in. So that is completed. And then we have the actual costs, which I pull from QuickBooks to offset and make sure that we reconcile this and that everything's all right. And we did now. Charisma and I have worked closely to reconcile the rest of it. And now there's only one discrepancy that appeared when we got very close, which was $3,700. So we are basically balanced except for that one thing. So we have to find that $3,700 discrepancy. We were at $112,000 discrepancy. So we are doing much better now. The actual cost spreadsheet is updated through August. And what the bond fund now shows us is that after the committed and completed projects that we have that we've either done or ongoing right now, we'll have 1.3 million left, approximately 1.4 million, almost 1.4. And obviously, with these massive projects going on, a 10% overrun on one of those projects could very quickly diminish that amount. So we're watching that closely.
Right.
And if we actually do the proposed project as well, we still have, and assuming the other things come in around there, what they're supposed to, we'll have about $1 million left in the bond fund after all the projects that we have on the bond fund are completed. So that's good news because we weren't there earlier. So that's going well. 5-year capital improvement plan has been updated. These all of them have had slight increases. Code enforcement stayed the same, but the rest of them had slight increases except for fire. Fire, you can see, had a dramatic increase. And that is because when I talked to Chief Brown, he did inform me that we had a 30-year time frame, or actually now I can't
So I
remember.
think how it went was that there were 3 pieces of equipment that each had a 30-year life, and there was a cycle that we were expected to upgrade one of them every 10 years. That
Yeah.
was kind of the.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the thought process. But they are concerned that their ladder truck is not going to last as long as they expected it to last, which is the most expensive piece of equipment they have. They are.
And when did we buy that, and when did we just finish paying for it?
We just finished paying for it. Yeah, so it is expected to be a $2 million plus purchase. It can take
Yeah, it
3.
was like $1 million when we bought it 10 years ago.
That's
12
correct.
years
It
ago.
has gone up. Those prices have gone up extremely fast. We anticipate that if they anticipate needing it by 2030. We don't need to do anything about it this year because we can definitely take out a bond fund for it when we need to pay for it. If that is the case, it is in fact the decision that council makes at that time. But I just wanted to let everybody know that that's a possibility coming down the pike.
So what is it that they're concerned about with the ladder truck that's only lasted 12 years?
I think it's here. I can give you the exact number on how long when it was purchased. I didn't remember off the top of my head when it was purchased. 2010, so it's been 15 years. And it was paid off in 23 last year. They were expecting, we had put it down for a 25-year life cycle, and they're now thinking it's only going to make it 20. I don't know the details on why other than, they told me and I trusted that they know why, but we can dig more into that, and absolutely they can come before council and discuss that, and we can have that done. But that's what I was told. So that's where we're at on that. But again, just bringing it to everyone's attention, as these are things we have to consider. So these are the 5-year capital improvement plans, and all of them are built into the current budget except for that truck, because it's such a big purchase and a big decision, and it's so early based on what we had planned.
Right.
So that will have to be a more detailed discussion. With that being said, let me move on to the next. Any more questions before I move on? Because I know I kind of dropped a bombshell on that one. No. Okay. Next, these are right now, assuming that not too many drastic changes happen with the decisions. General fund will be about 6.7 million. The bond fund, which should be wiping most of it out, except for that $1 million, about $1.4 million that I was talking about. We have $8 million on fund projects happening next year. Bless you.
Thank you.
And then the sewer fund is 2.6 million. And the road fund is just over $1 million, and I'll discuss why that is, because normally that budget is around 600,000. But I did add the Ewing Road as a placeholder in this, which would be around $400,000 with engineering costs and some other things. And so these are one thing I did want to discuss is the macroeconomic trends, because I know it's often the case that we have to be we've been able to keep taxes at the same rate for now 5 years. I think this is the fifth. This is the fifth. Yeah, this is the 5th year. And we'll be able to do that again. But eventually you'll have to make some changes, because basically our 3 largest income sources, real estate taxes, earned income taxes, and business and sales taxes, which amount for about $3.5 million of our fund, or 60% of our general budget. An increase at an annual now over the past 8 years have increased at about 1.88%. I wasn't able to really do this in COVID, but now that I've been able to look back a little further and have a couple more years, I'm a little more confident that these numbers are leaning towards accurate. And the average inflation over that period was 3.44. So you can see that our major income items do not keep up with inflation, generally speaking. And the biggest reason for that is real estate taxes by far. And that is because real estate taxes, we don't get assessed. And because we haven't been assessed since 2012, anybody who bought a house since 2012 has not seen an increase, except for when taxes have changed because they don't get a new assessment. So their rates don't change. And so people, we're the only state in the union that doesn't do regular assessments. And we hope that there's an assessment done next year or the year after. Otherwise we might have to make changes. But just wanted to give everybody that update. You can see real estate taxes average change is 1.54%. Business and sales taxes is only 1.5%. And then earned income is closer to keeping up with inflation and should be closer to keep up with inflation, generally speaking. But that has still lagged behind inflation as well at 2.81%.
But I think with the earned income tax bonus come back around to the more we know about our renters.
Yep.
The
And we should be able to get
increases here.
yeah, and we can definitely, as we get a better analysis, as I have time to do a better analysis on that, we should be able to get maybe hope, and especially with the new rental inspection program, we should have better updated numbers on that. And so we can work with that as well. But just wanted to give everybody an idea of the overall economic trends.
And having a focus on blighted vacant homes, the land bank, conservatorship, whatever.
Conservatorship.
Thank you. And I'll just point or next time I need to say it. Whoever can say it. Increases these things because those homes are not paying taxes or paying minimal taxes, and by changing whatever that increases that.
The only reason our income taxes have gone up are because we've sold houses or flipped houses. And so it is really important that you're able to save houses first off, and that you're able to flip houses, and also that we're able to get economic development, that we're able to get more people in here, and more businesses in here. So just wanted to update that. So general summary of what I just went through. We can definitely have a balanced budget again, no tax increase. I do have this budget returning the road tax to the road fund. However, we should probably talk about maybe possibly changing the percentage that we had it at before. It might behoove us, because we do have more money in the in the road fund, and we have less in the general fund. We probably want the number to be a little bit higher in the general fund and a little bit lower on the road fund. We'll still have a surplus if we spend additional monies this year from the road fund. So we can discuss that once we get there. But just wanted to make sure that we're thinking about that. This budget will not add any money to the reserves, unlike last year's budget. And I'll talk about why. One of the big things is the last item on this list, which I did not expect, was hoping to not have. But I'll talk about that in a minute. As I mentioned, we have $8 million in infrastructure projects in this budget. I talked about the macroeconomic trends and why they're concerned, because we're not seeing as much, as fast an increase in income as we do with overall costs. And then we did have a much higher number of O&M repair projects from just this year's CCTV work than I anticipated. I have since learned that 10 years ago, the borough was not doing this on a regular basis. And because they were not doing this on a regular basis, now that there's CCTV in areas that haven't been CCTV'd in 13 or 15 years, when you really want that to be 10 years or less, the repairs are higher than I anticipated. And it's they did one of the older parts of town too, which is also adding to that, but we can discuss that once we get to the budget. So I'm gonna get into the budget document itself now. And we can start discussing that. So just as I did last year, we have and let me tell me if I need to, how much I need to blow this up so that people can see it. Is that good for people to be able to see? Okay. Okay, so. Proposed budget. Just as we did before, I have the line items. Broken down, the first section is all income and it's broken down by department, so we have administration. No, that's 2024 through August actual, so that is what I compare through August actual guess. So I've just left that in. But if it is easier for you to see it, I could also just hide these right now. So you can see what last year's budget was, where we're at year to date, and then where we're gonna go. Now, obviously, this one's a little off because I've removed the road tax back out of this. So probably the better comparison is actually actual from 2024. And because of those macroeconomic trends, I'm only increasing these tax numbers by 2% over 2 years. To make sure that we're staying on the moderate side of these. Or the conservative side of these. So going through, we have the code enforcement, community activities, fire protection, municipal properties, planning and zoning, total police, public works, sanitation, and the swimming pool. And that comes out to a proposed budget of about 6.77 million. That's the income. As I mentioned in prior discussions, and I will send this to everybody so everybody will have access to the sheet. All the places where the sheet has coded things are because I'm pulling data from other sheets. For example, anything in green is coming directly from the capital improvement plan. Things from this peach color are coming from other like the lease spreadsheet or the payroll spreadsheet or some other input that I have. So those numbers are really hardwired numbers. They really can't be changed unless they're on the decision sheet, which those are also on that page. So you can look through each one of the line items, get an idea. You can see where where we made decisions. That the 2025 budget was $15,000 for conferences. I just have it going up by 3%, since that's generally around the inflation numbers. And then the other ones, though, like salaries, for example, council salary hasn't gone up and isn't. I don't think council's planning to increase their salary, nor is the mayor's salary gone up. We're at the low end of boroughs in the state, but just so everybody knows, these numbers are tied in directly to what already exists, or on another sheet. Then this goes through all the different costs. You can see all these different peach ones that come over, the green ones that come over from the capital improvement plans and whatnot. And then some that just have numbers that are from other sheets that aren't necessarily tied to another sheet, but do have hard numbers. But I'm not going to go through each of these lines. I just wanted to give you an idea of how it works. This number at the top is our current surplus. And that's because we have a lot of decisions to make, and that is not much, and you'll see why. So just want to go through that. Once you get to the end of the general fund, you can see we're about $77,000 over in the general fund, again, because of those decisions. And once we make decisions, we can get that leveled off. The bond fund, I really don't project out because really the goal is to spend that money, not necessarily to have projects ongoing. So income, we're anticipating around 8 million in income, and expenses, we're expecting around 6.5-7 million in expenses. Because we tend to get the grant money after we do the projects. So that's around what we anticipate. And this budget does not have to be balanced, and this budget is treated separately. It is not part of the larger budget, because it's meant to be spent down. The road fund, again, I have the taxes in here again for the road taxes based on the same rate that it used to be, which I think was 2.42. Again, we can discuss if we want to lower that a little bit to get more money going into the general fund than into the road fund. We have road paving program has not been added in. The brick paving program has not been added in. The only thing I did add in already is the Ewing Road project, because I am taking the money from the road fund reserve. And so this really isn't money to be spent for anything but Ewing Road. So if I remove this, this will still be three, even if I remove both of these, this will still balance out the 352. So that's the only decision that I've marked myself on the decision sheet. And then you have the sewer fund income again, and then the expenses. We have several older older Penvest loans that are coming near the end. One of them ends this year, and then one of them ends in 2028. So that will pick up about $80,000 worth of annual spending that we'll be able to reinvest somewhere else. And then the overall balance, as I mentioned, we're over by about 352, but and we'll get into that in a second. But when we look at decisions, the account balances have been updated, so they're updated through August, so you can see what the accounts have been doing all year, how they fluctuate, and how we tend to start the year with less money and get into the spring, we tend to get a lot of our funds, and then they start to be depleted from here down for the rest of the year. I discussed those macroeconomic trends. Here's the details for those macroeconomic trends. So if you want to see the numbers, where they came from, you can take a look at the real estate taxes, prior year delinquent, the penalties and interest, and all the different things we get from real estate taxes. Same with earned income taxes and with business taxes. So you can see where those numbers came from, get an idea of where those trends are happening. As I mentioned, the overall economic trend for these $3.5 million is about 1.88%. And then this is a breakdown, and I haven't updated this actually yet, so I will update this. This will be updated once we get closer on decisions and whatnot. I'll update this chart so that people can see where the breakdown of general fund income and sources come from and where the expenditures go to. And then the things I mentioned feed into that first sheet. This is all the leases and debt that we have. So these are all fed into that first sheet. Some of these come from the capital plan. Some of these are just leases and debt that we have already out there.
Is the ladder truck on that one?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Because no decision, there really hasn't. I know that's a really big expense, and I wanted to have a conversation before I started plugging any numbers.
Right.
And it doesn't, I don't know whether council wants to start saving for it, or whether we just want to do a bond fund when it comes up. We can do multiple different things.
And I think we need to have a lot of discussion if they're at this point thinking that they're gonna be 5 years less on its life, and we've got 5 years to go. What could we possibly do to extend the life?
Right.
What is the thing that concerns them the most? And, could some significant investment now say, give us another 5 years?
Right.
I mean, when you start looking at, we spend even, a couple $100,000 on that truck, if we can get another few years out of it.
Yep. Yeah, we can definitely have those discussions. Then the last thing I wanted to go through is the big thing, which are the decisions. So you can see, not including the $2 million truck, we have $1.6 million worth of decisions. We only have $350,000 to make those decisions with. I'm sorry. This also has the $400,000 included in it. So we really have like 1.2 million to make this spending decisions.
Possible spends, and we got $350,000.
Right.
So tough decisions.
We definitely have some tough decisions. So first thing up, property decisions. Some of these we talked about last year. Cameras, tables for the community center. One thing I would definitely like to do, the new public works building will be completed soon. We would like to get cameras and door controls on that. That's $35,000. And then there's more camera upgrades that both the chief and I would like to see. And that could save significant manpower for the chief. And those are some camera upgrades, and those amount to close to $100,000 additional dollars there. Municipal property discussions, we discussed several of these last year, floor for the community
Can
center.
you blow it up a bit?
What's that?
Can
Oh,
you
yeah.
blow it- Yeah.
Yep.
Oops.
Did that the
Sorry.
wrong way. I didn't mean to do it like that. Okay. Is that better or do you want a little bit more?
Just a tad more. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so then we have municipal property decisions, floor for the community center, window treatments for the community center, police room basement. This is, the chief is now using that large room in the basement. If we were really to do it nice, this would be a cost. We could also do it a little bit less expensive than that. But that's one option. Admin and community center carpet. This was actually budgeted for this year, and depending on how we look, which we're not looking good overall for the budget, so you probably want to skip this anyway, but we can talk about, how we get that done. Elevator, as was discussed at, not extensively, but it is 33 years old now, and they typically last 25 years. So
You wonder why I'm getting it.
yep. So,
Test it.
yeah,
Keep
the
on testing
elevator,
it.
yeah, the elevator is definitely long in the tooth and should be replaced in sometime soon. We could also look for grant money for this as well. And that's something that I'm planning to do. Awning for the new building, this was budgeted for this year, but we haven't spent it yet.
Ask a question about that.
Yep.
Is that something that could be taken out of the bond fund?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Okay, all right,
yeah, most of these projects could be,
yeah.
but I'm not, I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
wanna,
I get
yep.
where you're going.
Yep.
But
Yep,
just trying to,
absolutely, yep, and those are decisions we can absolutely, you guys can absolutely make. There was a request for the Beverly, who will be here tonight, actually, to introduce herself as the new library director. Has asked that we get a door for the children's room, which isn't just a door, it'll actually have to be a wall and a door, which is, I put a placeholder in, I don't think it'll cost that much, but I put a placeholder in because I didn't have a good estimate from her yet. And then we talked about last year, the police garage floor needs to be redone. And that on the high end is around $70,000. I have in here for a fireworks increase. Next year is this sesquicentennial. So, it's 250-year birthday for the United States plus tariffs. We have been told by the producers that if we only spend $15,000 again, it'll be probably a significantly smaller show than it was this year, because now before the tariffs kicked in, they were able to buy a bunch and hold on to it. Now they don't have that benefit. So we're anticipating that fireworks will be a significant cost increase next year to get the same show, let alone get a bigger show. Pool liner issues, I have to, and this was Larry, I know we hadn't talked about this, but we had talked about this the year prior and I didn't hear anything about it this year. Did you hear any issues so we'll have to get with Heather again.
None.
Yeah, none. Okay. So this might not be the issue that we thought it was. But we do I'm gonna get with Heather. I haven't seen her end of year report yet, so we'll talk to her about that. Public Works is asking for a brush for the skid steer. This would be for cleaning gravel off roads and whatnot. It's a really effective tool for them, and something that we would support them getting. I mentioned the ladder truck for the fire department, which will obviously lead to larger conversations. I still have the dog park in here for $25,000 as a general cost. And then we get into the road fund and sewer fund discussions. I mentioned that the Ewing Road one is already in there. That one is for around $400,000. I'll get an updated estimate on that soon. It could go up a little bit, so I'm not sure where that's at. Paving budget, I have estimated, but we can change this number to whatever we want it to be. Larry is working on getting another assessment done this year, so we can find out at least what the worst roads are. So if there are some roads that have to be done or should be done, then we can look at that. And then again, I put $100,000 in for the brick paving budget, and Larry is still working on that study, so we'll have more information to come on that. But that's, just a placeholder for now. And then the sewer fund discussion, the sewer fund decisions, There are no spot repairs recommended from their initial review. And they did warn us, these are very preliminary reviews. They just got the CCTV camera work probably 2 months ago and have reviewed it initially and gave us some estimates. So excavation repairs are about $190,000 recommended. There's one single major repair that's required on Mildred that is which is an excavate. Whoop, I don't want to do that.
That's good.
Yeah, look at that. It's so
Great,
great.
great. Do it. Approved.
If it was only that easy.
Mhm.
And so that is an excavation repair as well.
This is another one, if we don't take care of it, could turn into a Johnson Street.
Exactly. So I'm adamant about at least trying to chunk off some of these repairs if we can't do all of them. We do have a little bit of additional funding in the sewer reserve, not much, but and these can also be part of the bond fund as well. So just these are all decisions that can be made. The manhole liners. These are the manhole liners that were part of this year's project. That if you recall, we wanted to keep it around $600,000. And so these are getting pushed to next year. And so there's $70,000 there. This was really the big shocker. The new CCTV work from this year led to them estimating a need for almost $400,000 in repairs because it had been so long since that area of the town had been reviewed. That was one was obviously not a welcome news, but that's where we're at. They did tell us that might go down as they do a closer review of the CCTV work, but they do anticipate it still being a fairly sizable number. And then the last thing was a request from Public Works to trade out our current Elgin street sweeper for something smaller that does not require a CDL driver. Currently, our street sweeper has requires a CDL, and they only have 2 people. One being the foreman, the other being Bill Francis, who can drive a street sweeper. I think Tyler might have gotten his as well, so there might be 3. Did Tyler officially get a CDL?
Yeah, I don't think it's the same type, but he has a CDL.
Okay, yeah, I thought that was true too. Like it might be a slightly different type.
Isn't it cheaper just to get CDL licenses for?
Well, this is for getting a new one. That would be this would cost money now, but also it would be cheaper in the long run, operation costs. This is our current, and this is just a very loose number. I don't have details on this. It probably would be cheaper with trade-in, but I didn't want to put a number in there that was, better than what it looks.
So that number does not include the trade-in or sale.
No, that
Maybe.
it really depends on what I don't have enough information yet. Basically, I anticipate that we could probably get $70,000 to $100,000 for ours. What I don't know is the variety of street sweepers out there is really insane. And they can range anywhere from $150,000 to $500,000, well, actually to $1 million. And so it's really what you get from another one, and I have to have a better conversation with them about what is possible. And again, these are the nice thing about street sweepers is they're encouraged to keep your sewers clean. And so you can actually typically get DEP grants or sewer grants for these. It'd be a little different because we already have one, so I'm not sure how that would work. But there is grant money out there for those things, and I just wanted to get it on here. So even if because obviously I don't anticipate us doing it this year, but if it's something that we can get grant money for and look at for next year, and then once I get better numbers that the operational cost of it is easier as well, then that would be better in the long run. But that was something that was brought up, so I wanted to make sure it made it on.
Say, probably not in 26.
I don't anticipate it being, with all the other needs that we have and the limited funds that we have. Again, like you said, some of these could be pushed to the bond fund and we could use bond fund money for it, but I wasn't gonna make that.
It didn't make any assumptions.
Right, exactly.
Jim, is that total not adding up correctly?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yes, it definitely is not. Thank you for noticing that.
I literally was just like,
That
yeah, you're
couldn't
right, that
possibly
one's
be-
390.
Right, no, you got it right. Wait, why is it?
You're only doing
Oh,
the
because it's
one, you're
coming
doing
from,
the other
it's going from
cells.
D6 and then now
Yeah.
S65.
There you go.
Yep. Good catch.
Well, dog, I mean, if you wanna be like dog park didn't pull down,
Yeah, I didn't. I
I just
actually,
didn't-
I actually pulled it from a different place for this one, but that's okay.
just me contributing.
Yep. And that's, I use those to pull from, so this total over here on the side is, oh yeah, so that number's even higher now. Yep, thanks for catching that. But the only discretionary spending that I have put in here yet is that $400,000 for Ewing because because that includes pulling money from the reserve to do that work. So,
So we have like $300,000 to make decisions.
yeah,
Okay.
But so that's based on the proposed budget after just the first brush.
Yeah,
So I think part of it is that, and we did this last year, we talked a lot about the decisions, but it's also going through this budget and seeing, are there costs that we can save? Like,
Yep.
if it says community days and
Yeah.
other things in there, we could say, we'll cut that and that's 50,000 and
yeah,
then you get that added to it. So I think the first brush is let's go through this and go through the budget and see where there's cost savings. Maybe there's an error in calculation, but that's the first
Yep.
step.
And then I think, you know, as we've mentioned, a number of the projects on the decision sheet could potentially come from the bond fund. And so what we really have to do through this process is to assess how far are we along with the projects that were projected to need to be covered by the bond fund. And are we near the end of that?
yeah. In fact, by the time we're approving this budget, I think C20 will most likely be done or very close to being done. And so will the Public Works Building, which are the two biggest projects aside from Broadhead. Really the biggest project that's gonna be lingering is Broadhead.
Right.
And yeah, and C20 is on target to be under or near budget.
Broadhead, I
But then
think,
that that puts us in the consent decree in really good shape, is that?
Yep, oh yeah,
well, that's
Yeah,
it.
and then-
And then, but my concern would be if there could be change orders. With Broadhead's a major project affecting lots of roads. And if there's change orders, I would like to have some money in that bond fund as a reserve.
Right, so we
versus-
have to have a discussion about
Mhm.
how much and when and that sort of thing, because Broadhead is due to go through near the end of next year, right?
yeah, it should be done by, it is scheduled to be done by October.
October next year.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mhm. Yeah,
So, yeah,
Yep, and
so there could be some conditional decisions for the end of next year
Yep.
if Broadhead comes in okay.
right. And that might be where, and I think we did it this year, where on that decision matrix, there were things that we said yes to, no to, and then maybe.
Yeah.
And we can say some of these are maybes for, depending on the bond fund.
it's actually easier to do that in the bond fund too, because you could just put them in as placeholders.
Mhm.
As, and then if you don't wanna, if you get closer and you don't wanna spend them, you don't do it.
Right.
Especially, like you said, as we don't know what's gonna happen as the end of these things come in, and we do need some. The two of those projects, the C20 project and the Broadhead project will both have money held back from Alcoasand for monitoring. And so we won't get the last bit of grant money for a
Until
year. after-
27.
Right, until the end, well, at least until the beginning of 27, yeah. Yep, so those are, we have to keep an eye on that, so you're right, John, there's gonna be some. Need to be a little wiggle room with with that fund, with the bond fund. So, well, that is my presentation, got about 15 minutes left till,
Can you just scroll down since we've
Sure.
got time?
yeah, what do you wanna,
I truly don't know what I'm looking for, I'm just looking.
okay,
I feel like, just keep scrolling, something caught my eye and I don't wanna say anything about it until I see it again.
okay.
Whoa, slow down.
Okay. This is all income, and now we're moving into the expenses. And this does go, you know, if you look at this, when I send it to you, look at it at home, you can go all the way back to 2016.
It's
And
one, it
all the
was
board-
line 192. Do we have anything in that line for next year?
Oh, good question.
You know, that's a
Yep.
concern of mine.
Yep. Nope. I will put a placeholder right now and we can
What was
Right
it?
to know.
write to know
Right to
requests.
So didn't we have a significantly high expense for right to knows and
Yeah, we had,
24?
in this year alone, we've had six.
Yeah, so we should make
And-
that show.
Yep. And we had $50,000 and that's why the solicitor expenses are so high in 2000, because they got lumped in the solicitor.
Okay, okay.
We had 50,000 plus expenses.
I think if we have a right to know, we should show what we spend so people can,
Yeah, but I can't move it. I don't wanna move
no,
it.
don't do it now.
Yeah, until I get the numbers fixed. But yeah,
Okay,
cause you have to do that in QuickBooks and
okay.
I don't wanna
Right, so,
mess stuff up.
so I'm hearing that we're going to, pull that out of the solicitor.
We do now. We had done that. We had done it in 25 and I, like you said, like John pointed out, there sometimes, you know, I was finishing this today, so there won't
Yeah.
be mistakes, so. Out of 700 lines, I'm sure I made a few.
So we do have a finance committee meeting next week, where we'll probably be discussing it and we'll definitely be discussing it. And I think the homework is taking the spreadsheet, looking through it at first glance, seeing what pops out. And then the things that we can be conscious of cutting or reducing expenses allows us to do some of the things on the decision matrix.
That, Jim, that was just what caught my eye when I saw
No,
it.
no, it's good.
I
I'm
thought-
glad you
I
felt
was
glad you
like,
saw
Is that blank?
Yep.
I love the optimism.
But that's a good point. Less right to no requests, and there is other things you can do versus just getting papers and gathering them for 50,000 for those expenses that we've had in the past. Yeah. Mhm.
Or. Police.
Or,
So
For 50,
bring prisoners into the police department.
instead of 10,000 emails that are sitting with nothing to do, we could have a police garage.
Yeah.
So those are things that we have to consider. Okay.
let's look at these community events, if we've got the time and.
On the rec board, you can look at these, we'll look at Shade Tree, we'll look at a lot of things that possibly could have some changes, but each meeting we'll go through. and get this fine.
The Crafton Performing Arts, do we just have that? Just,
In the past, they had given money, I think specifically. Oh, not in a while though.
okay,
Yep. I think we did spend some money this year too, but. Yeah, 5,000, 5,800 this year, so, oh no, that was not them, yeah.
all right.
But we did spend 3,000+ this year, so.
But, I mean, should that actually go with newsletter expense? Since it really was,
no. Yeah, but it really went to, you know, it was something that benefited that group specifically, so it should probably go into that,
Yeah.
but. Again, these are the mistakes that
Oh,
we're catching.
I wouldn't
Yep.
call it a mistake, I would just say,
Oh, no, they're, it's,
I mean, there's a lot
I
of
don't
spells.
have a problem calling them mistakes if we fix them.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
So a small question.
Yeah.
That fire truck.
Yep.
Have we gotten feedback on like how much a resale value would be on the existing?
We have not, we haven't done, yeah, and I don't know that there is that, you know, you typically, these are money, they really do eat up money, like fire apparatus is very expensive. So, and it's a 3-year turnaround time for them to get built. Yeah, so,
I've seen several communities assess what they thought they would sell it for and make that part of the financing, and it never works out, so. I think if Jim's like,
but we're better off with a wash.
yeah, like, I just, whatever you get, just be thankful.
Yeah.
Because you'll get something, it won't be what you think.
yeah.
Usually it's like a small rural community somewhere.
Ask them,
Sure.
who wants one?
Yeah,
They're
but
like,
more-
"Oh, it doesn't work."
but ladder-
And we're like,
It's a-
But
it's a ladder
Right,
truck.
but that doesn't typically happen for ladder trucks. Ladder trucks need, you know, you get.
That's what I mean, like if we're selling it, so it's
Wow.
not working, I'd be like, why are we buying this?
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
what happens is that they
Parts,
rehab.
supplies or something?
The equipment will get rehabbed and
Mhm.
resold.
There was one, that's what I was telling Larry, there was one in my brother's village in the Dominican from New Kensington.
Mhm.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
See there.
Yeah,
That on down there. Is it?
Well,
is
you
it-
know, it's amazing.
It has like
The
white
major-
trucks.
Shipped
Yeah.
it out.
Connected.
My
Yes,
guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I cracked up when I saw that, I was like, New Kensington?
We connected a study
Well, then what
a
part?
couple years ago where Allegheny County, because we have so many volunteer fire departments and so many individual fire
Mhm.
departments, we have more apparatus for 1.3 million people than all of New York City does.
Yeah.
With 8 million people,
Exactly.
because we have so many independent. I was shocked. I went to a parade when I first moved here in Oakdale,
Mhm.
and I was shocked by how many vehicles passed. Because that doesn't happen.
And some of them, they
Yeah.
get more miles on parade than they do on
Yeah.
service.
It was in Friends event, like Pleasant Hills, and they had sort of like
But
the
it's expensive.
like the celebration night, so it's like all the public, and it was nothing but fire trucks, and I was just like, who's that one from? Where's that one? Like it was just a fire truck after fire truck after fire truck, and I think it was
Yep.
the white haulers. They had white fire trucks. I think that was them, and they were really pretty, but they said they were incredibly expensive because like it's custom paint or something.
Yeah.
It's all custom.
I would not approve that.
Anything else before we close? Because the meeting is
Good.
active.
Yep.
All
All right.
right,
Well, thank you.
thank
everyone.
you. Meeting adjourned.